morning, everyone. I'm Marie-France Hivert. I am the chair of the program committee for the 2023 Epi Lifestyle Conference, and we're here in Boston. I'm very excited. We just completed our opening session with 3 outstanding keynotes, and I have the chance to be here with Dr. Bleich. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the takeaway for the audience who didn't have the chance to be here.
Well, great to be here. Thank you for the invitation. So I originally come from inner city Baltimore, where I was born and raised, have spent most of my career in public health research with a focus on food nutrition policy, but I've had the opportunity to do 2 tours of duty with the federal government. So first in the Obama administration as a White House fellow, where I was at USDA, and then most recently I spent the past 2 years also at USDA, spent the first year doing COVID, and the second year focused on nutrition security and health equity. So I have found that I love bridging the research and the policy worlds because they create such an opportunity to really drive forward change and take the things that we all work on and try to make them more meaningful to policymakers and to other decision makers who could change people's lives for the better.
And if you had like one key message for our audience, what would that be?
Yeah, so in the presentation, what I tried to talk about was there have been some major changes in the federal nutrition policy space over the past few years, much of which have been driven by research, a lot of which has been conducted by this professional society. And so tried to weave this story around there's so much important work that is already underway and doing more of it, and then thinking about how do you take the messages that you're working on as a researcher and get them out there, or how do you use your clinical perspective and vantage point to try to help connect people meaningfully with things like the federal nutrition assistance programs to help them get resources to afford food. My main message is that if you are looking to drive change, when you're talking to patients, if you are a researcher and you're talking to policymakers, to always start with your bottom line up front. Call that the bluff. Start with what's most important, add some supporting information, and end, again, with your bluff, what's most important, and try to make your messages as sticky as possible. Time is such a premium right now, and it is hard to capture people's attention, and so when you have that moment, if it's with a clinical encounter with someone who has the ability to drive policy change, you want to take full advantage, and to do that, it's important to communicate as clearly and concisely as possible.
Tell us a little bit more about BLUF.
Yeah, so BLUF stands for bottom line up front, and the idea is when you have an opportunity to speak to someone, your time may be very short or it may get compressed very quickly. So it's critical that you lead with the most important message that you want that person to know. So let's take, for example, the school meals program. So that's a program that serves 30 million Americans. One of the most important things to know about the school meal program is that for many children, it is the most nutritious meal they will get on any given day. And then you can, from there, talk about what does the evidence say and why are there policy changes on the horizon to change school meal standards and what are the implications, and then end by saying, and this is important because school meals are the most important meal that children will get on a given day. It's important to do that with punctuation and with clarity and with precision, and use the time that you're allowed, because sometimes it's 2 minutes, sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 10 minutes. You can't always predict that. But if you start with the most important message and you end with the most important message, chances are it will be very sticky for the person that you are speaking to. And then the last thing I would say, as you're thinking about messaging and trying to get points across, is often less is more. And it's important to give people an opportunity to ask the questions that are on their mind and make sure that you are leading with the most important messages and giving them a chance to then ask about the details that they care about. Otherwise, it is very easy to accidentally muddy messages.
Well, thank you. I think a lot of our audience will take away BLUF with that.